we've talked about for some years that North Carolina has a certain culture about the program that goes beyond whoever the head coach is, right? We've talked about this, that there's certain things where it's like you can go back however long and it's, some of the same things just emerge in Carolina football. Same reputation as not an especially physical program. Certain reputations just are there. Well, if you want entire DNA of a program to change, the degree of change that has just happened and is in the process of happening is probably a way to kind of guarantee that you get close. Although, I will say, if we see 2 or 3 years from now, if Carolina football still looks just like Carolina football, still soft, still whatever, and it hasn't changed with Bill Belichick and all of the people he's brought in, somebody needs to start checking that Kenan Stadium water. Somebody needs to start, they need to bring in Ace Ventura to exorcise the demons or something.
Jason, let me ask you this. North Carolina did not tackle in spring practice last year. Do you think Bill Belichick will tackle in spring ball?
What's the earliest day that you can tackle now? I think it's day 4.
Right. Yeah.
Right? Day 4 of spring is the earliest you can tackle. I wouldn't be surprised if that entire practice was to the ground tackling.
Yep. Agreed.
As I understand it, actually, one of the early conversations that Belichick had with Kitchens about things is, wanting to know, what have you guys been doing? Information about different things and, different stuff about hitting and physicality or whatever. And Kitchens lets him know that, well, this is what we've been doing in terms of hitting. And Belichick's like, nope. So I understand that's all. There's some talk about that actually already having been a point of discussion. Yeah, there is zero shot that we're going to see no to the ground tackling in spring practice. And even on the days where there's no to the ground tackling, what you're going to see is NFL style offseason physicality, which is thud where guys are really hitting. So it's not designed wrapped to the ground tackling, but the design is you're going to form tackle right up to where a guy would go to the ground. And if a guy happens to get knocked down, well, that's what it is. I think you're going to see a lot of that and a lot of no cut blocking, really hard physicality on inside drill and that sort of thing. Because, look at the guys that Belichick has gone after in the transfer portal. Okay. Look at the list of linemen on both sides of the ball and the size.
Half of them are linemen.
Right. Mm-hmm. You got a 265-pound defensive lineman from UConn, who, by the way, gave you a ton of trouble in the bowl game, right? You have a 305-pound center who may or may not end up playing center because you already got a good one who's over 300 pounds on your roster. You got a 340-pound, 6'6", 340 tackle, right, from Alabama. You got a 6'6", 315 tackle. You got a 6'6", 340 tackle / guard. You're signaling something with this, with what you're getting here. And then, okay, let's look at the other defensive lineman. Another 6'2", 305 pounds, 6'5", a defensive end, another defensive end, 6'5", 260. You can see what they're doing. They are doing it in full Bill Belichick fashion. They are building from the inside out, and they're going to emphasize being big. They're going to win. The aim is going to be to win on inside drill, on gut drill, on the goal line first. Win in the phone booth, and then work your way out from there. And that's what they're signing. Now, whether these guys work out or not, whether these guys are what they hope they will be, that's up to their evaluations. Generally speaking, this group has evaluated pretty well, but we'll see. But that's what they're going to do, and they're going to push those guys to get after it on the inside, and you're going to see a bunch of inside drill. You'll see them spread the field, but they're going to win. They want to be solid on the inside, And that's just what he believes in. You have to be good from the center out, from the ball out on both sides of the ball. And they've not been that. So this is going to be interesting to see. The other thing, by the way, that came up was when the defensive back from ECU, Gavin Gibson was interviewed. What he said about what Belichick said about the defense was precisely what we talked about on this show, about how they were going to attack things. He said, yeah, well, they told me I could play 7 of the positions on defense. He's a corner. He's a guy who's played corner and safety. And they're like, well, we could line you up in 7 different spots because depending on who we're playing and situation and all that, we might have 7, 8 defensive backs on the field. We might have 7 defensive backs in the field. We might have 6 defensive linemen on the field. We're going to be completely multiple. We're going to go odd. We're going to go even. We're going to line guys up all over just to get the matchups we want. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to do it with big personnel. And, I've said this on this show before. One coach that I covered some years ago, Jimbo Fisher, used to say, a big guy does more, oftentimes a big guy does more good by accident than a little guy does on purpose. Because, there's a reason that big guys knock out little guys. And at the end of the day, big guy does more. Oftentimes a big guy does more by accident than a little guy does on purpose. And he also used to say, you get into the late third quarter, early fourth quarter, and that height and weight starts leaning on you, and it starts to make a difference in that second half. That's when you start to see teams that are bigger. It's the crock pot effect that Alabama's had on teams Alabama had that effect on teams for so long under Nick Saban, because Alabama was huge, and they would just crock pot teams. It'd be 10-3 at the half, and then 17-3, maybe 20-3 at the third quarter mark, or late in the third quarter, and then it would finish. It'd be 45-3. Why? Because teams just wore down against that size and against the quality, and they're going to try to bring that kind of size on up front, and then they're going to work from that. So, as far as the staff itself, I'm very much wait and see. Belichick's going to do what Belichick wants. I mean, the bottom line is he has a vision for what they're going to be on defense, and his son is coaching on defense. So we know what that's going to look like, regardless of the other guys that are coaching, right? We know what that's going to look like schematically. We know what's going to be demanded of those guys in terms of how they're going to coach it. Offensively, we have some sense of what Belichick has done over and over and over again with his teams. How many offensive coordinators did Belichick go through in New England?
A bunch.
And you know what? Every one of them ran the New England offense. So if Freddie Kitchens is the offensive coordinator, you know what offense he's going to be running? He's going to be running the college version of the New England offense. That's what we're going to see. And, Belichick is going to get the guys that he thinks he can run that stuff with. End of story.